Welcome to episode 2 of Design Curious Podcast. Today, I have a great interview with Kelly Tivey of Kelly Tivey Interiors out of Pleasanton, California. She has been in the industry for over 35 years and has a lot of great experience and insight on how a designer can get started on their own and what kind of experience they should have. And we explore her path into interior design and kind of talk about 5 ways to be successful as an interior designer. And we've got that outlined for you in the show notes as well as in this conversation. So sit back and relax and enjoy this great conversation with Kelly. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Well, hi, Kelly. Thank you for joining us on Design Curious today.
Hi, Rebecca. Good to see your face.
Thanks. You too. And why don't you tell our audience where you are working out of?
I'm working out of my office here in Pleasanton, California, just about an hour and a half away, I believe, from where you are.
Great. Yeah. And what's the name of your company?
Kelly Tivey Interior Design.
Wonderful. Well, I would love to know how you got into interior design. Was it a traditional path or in something you always knew you wanted to do, or did it come later in life?
I was beginning college and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I'd gone through like 2 years of basic and at a community college, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I spent the next quarter taking classes in a lot of different random things, travel and tourism and interior design, that kind of a thing. And I loved interior design. And then the next quarter, I was just fully enrolled in interior design. And the rest is history.
Did you have any indicators as you were growing up or as a young person that you are creatively bent or that you wanted to do design, or did it just kind of come later in college?
It really came later. I never thought of doing something in a creative field because I couldn't draw. So I just figured, well, I'm incapable of doing anything, I guess. But, you can do wonders with a straight edge. So.
Yeah.
I fell in love with the solving problems through space and creating feeling through color or texture or light. Yeah.
Wow, that's really fun. So that first design class that you took, you just kind of a light bulb went on. All of a sudden you're like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
It was. And I learned during that first class what some of the upcoming classes were, what the curriculum was like. And I thought, well, that sounds great, or that sounds fascinating, or, I can't wait to do that. And, enrolled full time in that. And so then I got a 2-year degree in interior design. So I had an associate's degree.
Okay.
And I got a job at a retail store. It was Ethan Allen, and I worked there for a long time. And I think that depending on your path, for me, that was a really good learning experience. I mean, I was 21, I think, when I was first hired, and very much a doormat, would never have said boo to anybody at that time. And so I had a lot of growing up to do in terms of managing clients and people. And I learned a lot through that process, just socially relating to different personalities. And then the most important thing, sales and how to sell, because in our business, we have to sell everything. We have to sell the discovery call. We have to sell the consultation. We have to sell you and your process. Everything is selling.
Yeah.
before you even get to, here's a sofa.
Yeah.
You've had to, and it's providing people with information that they find important to them. That's kind of where personalities come in, how people think, and just leading them according to the way they want to be led and providing the right information so that they can make an informed decision. And it sounds easy, but it's not, as you know.
Yeah.
And but I sort of grew up in the retail design world. I came away with some wonderful skills, and been able to take that wonderful foundation and grow.
Yeah. So when you started out at Ethan Allen, what was the first position that they had you in? Did you immediately start working with clients, or were you kind of in the back room with the samples, or what?
Yeah, I was hired as an interior designer.
Great.
I was almost done with my degree at that point. And at that time, I believe they still are, but I'm sure it varies. You have to go through a lot of interviews and a lot of design tests. And so they assess your ability to just, can you do floor plans? Can you combine fabrics? And so made it through that and then got hired. And then it was like a month of training, everyday training before I was able to help clients. So they were a great company in terms of training, products. I learned a great deal about construction and things like that. And then, it was me meeting clients and then figuring out how to, as a 21-year-old kid, talk to grown-ups and advise them and
convince them that you know what you're talking about.
Right. And so obviously, there were a lot of failures in those early years. I mean, there always are. But and I've seen a lot of people come and go in that same. And I think the difference is some people give up. And I just always felt like I didn't have that luxury. I mean, I was supporting myself even at that age. And I just had to stick it out. And I had to pick myself up and I had to keep moving and keep learning. And I just did that.
Did you like the challenge that it presented to you? Did you feel excited about having to push yourself to learn to be a salesperson and learn all these products?
Yeah, I found it fascinating. It's the science, just like many of the other things. Design is a science.
Yeah.
I always say design is a science, the art is in the application. So everybody can learn the science, but not everyone can do it. And sales it's really understanding people and personalities and communication styles. And Ethan Allen was big on studying that. So
they had a lot of sales training and was it, did they do continual training after that first month?
Yeah.
Just periodically learning more about sales.
So I credit when I was hired in that store, it was an independently owned. So the training at that point was up to that owner. And then the corporate training, they offered that as a continual thing every once or twice a year, and you could attend or not. Some owners would, some owners wouldn't. And we always just took advantage of whatever training was offered. And so not everyone has that ability, maybe in the company that they work for or their current situation, but it's out there and you can find it on your own, whether it's through podcasts, whether it's through your own coaches, whether it's through podcasts or people that you follow. There's so much information out there now that you can look for and find.
Yeah, really good. So how long were you there before you moved on?
I was there for a long time. I moved from Michigan to the Bay Area where I currently lived, and I continued on with the company. And then I left for a few years when I had my first babies. They were twins. And then I worked on my own for a bit. And then I actually went back there for a few years between my boys and my daughter. So off and on, it was like 19 years. That's where I spent a lot of time. And then it just was not the right fit for me anymore. At that point, it turned into a corporate store, and each place has its own personality and its own issues. And it was frustrating to work with and for people in your immediate day-to-day things that know less than you and that don't understand furniture and that don't understand design, and the lack of control. I'm just saying, in the place I worked, not everywhere's like that.
Right. Yeah.
And so it was time to leave. And now I've been on my own for about probably 15 years or so.
Okay.
And it's an entirely different learning curve, because working for somebody and owning your own business is, just worlds apart. Now, everything I'd learned was great, but isn't that cute? You've got 10 times more to learn.
Yeah. I think that would be interesting too. I mean, because you're all of your experiences with a more corporate company, whereas sometimes if you're like interning for a residential designer, it's such a small operation that you get to see all the business side of it as well. So did you see or like have that experience of the business side at Ethan Allen when you were there, or just minorly as far as like purchasing and order processing and things like that?
Minorly. I mean, there were processes to do things, but then once the order left your hands, you waited for them to give you information. That kind of a thing. I was a manager there for several years, and it's a little bit different level of, glimpse into that, but it's very structured, and you're still, you're only dealing with what you're able to deal with.
Would you recommend then that it's a fairly good avenue to go through that kind of training process?
For me, it was a wonderful foundation, and I learned all of those super basic skills that you don't learn in school, and you only get on the job training, through on the job training. And, I was there long enough, I really got to hone those skills. And for me, I can't imagine getting here without that. And I see people trying to start their own businesses now, and you don't know what you don't know. And there's a lot they don't know. And I feel like they're probably going to struggle to the point where they think, do I really need to work? I think we lose a lot of people in our profession because there hasn't been in the past a lot of avenues for support and direction beyond school. And school, they can only teach you so much.
Yeah, they have a limited time and what they can tell you. When you were starting out then at Ethan Allen, how long did it take for you to start to feel confident in your design and your expertise as you're meeting with clients? Because I'm sure it didn't happen in the second month.
No, and I would say years.
Yeah.
That sounds awful, but
no,
I could definitely draw I could space plan, I could make a beautiful room. I was very confident in that. Some people are very young at 21 and some people aren't. And I just feel like I had a lot of confidence building years that I had to put in before I was good at getting my point across.
Yeah.
And you never stop learning, but I would say it was a good couple of years before I was comfortable.
Yeah, I think that's true with most designers. It really takes a while to build that confidence in your designs.
And even after so many years, our confidence can be crushed in one client phone call.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what I'm doing after all these years. The colleagues that you had at Ethan Allen, did you find a lot of them moved on to start their own businesses, or did they like staying in that corporate world and just kind of continue on as an employee?
I don't really think I know anyone who moved on to do their own business.
Oh, okay.
There were many people over the years who just left, obviously. And but some of my closest friends on the planet are from Ethan Allen and stayed there for years and years and years. And, they were able to make a good career out of that.
Yeah.
And I've seen, really great designers there, and I've seen really bad designers there.
Yeah.
Just like in anything.
Yeah, just like anything. Yeah. I just think it's interesting. I talked to, we're in a group together that is of designers that own our own businesses. And I talked to a lot of designers that own their own businesses. And I definitely want to keep exploring, though, for the designers that like to work for other companies and for other designers, because that's a path that you can take as well. Like, you don't have to own your own business if you want to be an interior designer. So I think that's interesting and good thing to point out, that there's a lot of satisfied designers with that company. So
yeah,
interesting.
There
Yeah.
are. I know several people who have been there 20, 25, 30 years. So
Wow. So then as you transitioned into your own career, how did you approach design for your projects? Was it any different now that your name was on the door? Did you still see it as design as a science? Did you have a method that you approached your projects? How was that different?
I would say the process is the same, but working within one company, whether it's Thomasville or Ethan Allen or, working for one showroom, their products really, really well. Mm-hmm. And all of your designs consist of pieces and parts from that manufacturer. Well, on your own, you don't have that. Mm. You've got to now learn all of the other industry manufacturers. I am so fortunate. I found and joined the most wonderful interior design cooperative in my town, and I'm still there. And there are 5 of us members that make up this co-op. And it's just such a wealth of knowledge and support. So even a newbie owner like myself, I was never going, where in the world can I find this kind of lamp? Where in the world can I find this? Everyone here, just different levels of experience, and they've seen everything. And it was just, I think where I started was a great foundation in retail, because I learned it. And then I don't know how a designer owns their own business and doesn't work within a co-op. Now, there are good co-ops and really bad co-ops, but the wealth of knowledge, somebody in this office has done everything or seen it or knows a source or something, no matter how obscure it is. We have wonderful reps that support our accounts, that when they come in, they know they're talking to 5 to 7 design companies. So there's, a little bit of weight behind that. And then our buying power, we're not just getting cute little designer discounts. We do huge amounts because we share accounts. So the buying power is tremendous. And I just highly recommend for anybody who is looking to go out on their own, if you have an option, to at least look into a co-op. Our co-op is not for profit. There isn't an owner who's trying to take a cut of everything. It's really just about the success of our designers here, and the success of the co-op and maintaining accounts. So,
wow. Yeah. And you're saying you don't know how a designer can really be successful starting out without this co-op. It made me think that really you do have to have an approach of humility as a young designer, because I think you're going to be asking people lots of questions because you're not going to know the answers. And you need to be able to say, I don't know the answer, because if you think that you know it all, you're just going to fail, every time.
I know it's true. And the things that we talk to each other about or ask each other, it's wonderful. But if you're a new designer starting out and you have a client, that is awesome. But guess what? You don't have any accounts. So where are you going to open up the Pottery Barn catalog? And so having a source for that. And I know that there are also buying groups that people can buy into. Those are kind of the only ways that I'm aware of that don't kill your soul for the first 3 years.
Well, that was really interesting advice, and great to hear that path that you had. Any other things you would recommend for a new designer coming out?
I've always the most support by surrounding myself with people who are better at what I do, who know more than what I do, or people who are like-minded, who want to go to the next step or want to try something new. And the more you can expose yourself to successful people, to generous, to people with a good amount of humility, because they're the most likely to want to share and help. And that's just the biggest advice I can give. I mean, we've been doing this for how many years, and I still do that. I know that I don't know everything and never will.
Yeah, same here. I know.
Yeah.
There's just so many things to know about interior design. It's such a wide range of knowledge, from construction to product details and timing and then running your business on top of all of that. So
I know. Like, oh yeah, who has time to do that? No, you do.
Yeah, all the 15 hats you have to wear. Well, great. Thank you, Kelly. And where can everybody go to find your beautiful work that you've done?
My website is kellytiveyinteriors.com. And every now and then I add something there and we get to photograph a new project.
Awesome. And do you hang out on Instagram?
I am on Instagram, and it is Kelly Tivey Interiors.
Wonderful. And we'll put those in the show notes so everybody can find and go look at your work. Well, thank you. And thanks for all your advice. Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. It was great to talk with you.
You too. All right.
Bye,
thanks,
Rebecca.
Kelly. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wasn't that a great interview? I just love talking to Kelly and just hearing about her whole experience of working for someone else and then deciding to go on your own. I think she had some really good points to consider if you are thinking about getting into the industry yourself. So stick around, and I have some great interviews and podcasts ready to go for you, creative one. And I am here to help you figure out if interior design is the career for you. And if you'd like more of me, feel free to check out my website, and there you will find more information about my Design Mentor, which is my mentorship program. Also, don't forget to check out the show notes to get the download for the 3 things I wish I had known when I was starting out in my career in interior design. So go to the website for all that information, and until next time, stay creative. To celebrate the launch of my podcast, 5 lucky winners will enjoy a 1-year membership to My Design Mentor, my residential interior design career coaching program, and that is a $279 value to help kickstart your career in interior design, or get mentoring on if this is the right career for you and understand all the ins and outs of it. All you need to do is subscribe and leave a rating and a review. How simple! I'll post the link to enter in the show notes. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.